Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Bryan Ramos and I'm the Director of Experiential Learning at the NYU Stern School of Business. And I'm pleased to be here with two students from our inaugural Andre Ku Tech and Entrepreneurship MBA. I have Akanksha Gupta and Sebastian Hooker. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So would love to tell the audience a little bit about your backgrounds, kind of what you were doing before Stern, and what you're hoping to do post-Tech MBA.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can start. So before Stern, I was working as a software engineer at Hewlett-Packard developing enterprise hardware solutions. And post-MBA, I'm looking to move towards product management or business strategy in a tech company or in TMT, which is telecommunications, media, and technology at a consulting firm. And in the long term, I want to move towards general management.
Great.
Yeah, prior to coming to Stern, I worked for a name tag company. It was a subsidiary of Avery Products Corporation, and I was on the e-commerce side of the business. And I also dabbled in entrepreneurship, but would like to pursue a career in product management.
Great. So a lot of prospective students tuning in, and they're just beginning the process. How did you come across the Tech MBA program?
So actually, I signed up for a lot of newsletters related to MBA programs. So I signed up for Poets and Quants, Clear Admit. So as part of those newsletters, I learned about the NYU Stern and Tech MBA. And when I learned about it, I read on the website. I was just curious. I knew this is it. This is where I want to be.
Great. And Sebastian?
Yeah, similar to Akanksha, I was looking at a lot of different business schools around the country, and NYU was at the top of my list of places to apply to. And I was actually looking at the 2-year program when the Tech MBA was announced. But similar to Akanksha, once I started reading through what the Tech MBA offered, it seemed like a great way to get an MBA focusing on tech and to do it in just 1 year. That really stood out to me.
That's great. So you kind of hit on a point that I think a lot of people will resonate with them. In kind of looking at the Stern 2-year full-time MBA program and the specialized Tech MBA program, how did you go about that process?
Yeah, I thought the 2-year program was a great choice for me. However, the more I looked into different 2-year MBA programs and compared them against the Tech MBA, I was really excited about the opportunity for the Tech MBA to keep my career in tech. Yeah. The 2-year program looked great for people who maybe want to pivot and change industries and need a little bit more time to decide and maybe want to spend their summer doing an internship. However, I've always been a very technical person. I want to remain a technical person. And I thought, doing an MBA in a year from Stern was a really great way to stay in tech with a credible MBA.
Great. And Akanksha, what was your process like?
Yeah, a lot of points that Sebastian already hit, but I think for me, the more critical thing was the Stern brand and 1-year length of the program. So I already had a lot of experience working as an engineer in a big company. So I wanted to pivot more towards business strategy roles from an engineering core role, and I thought I could easily make a pivot in a year. I did not need to be in a business school for 2 years to do that.
So it was great hearing how you picked the Tech MBA over the 2-year MBA program. But I would love to hear a little bit more about kind of why Stern, why NYU, why was that? How did you go about that process of deciding that was going to be your home for MBA?
Yeah. When I was researching business schools, I was looking at a number of factors, right? And you really have to go kind of beyond the rankings. It is the first thing everyone kind of thinks about when deciding on a business school, but you have to do your homework and figure out if the community is going to be a good fit, if there are good resources, like the location of the school where you want to work after you get your MBA. So when I was researching, a few different schools I was applying to, it kind of became like, why not Stern at a certain point? I think first and foremost would be the location. I know Akanksha, really leverages the alumni network, or will.
Yes.
But the alumni network really is absurdly good. There are enough people and enough capacities in New York still after getting their MBA from Stern that you can reach out to and talk to, who are more than willing to sit down with you and grab coffee with you and teach you about an industry. In addition to that, NYU is so much bigger than the Stern MBA program. There are graduate schools in a number of areas, from law to medicine, and I've actually made friends with some MD students and have gone to different events that NYU hosts as a whole. So day to day, you might be spending all of your time in the Stern building. However, NYU, as an immersive campus in New York, just has access and visibility to so much more than Stern.
Great.
Yeah. So I think for me, the most important thing was to actually get my degree done in 1 year. So Tech MBA was like, okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
But I think more than that, I actually visited Stern before my admission here.
Yeah.
So there, when I came here, I was looking for that sense of community. And I talked about that even during my interview at Stern, that, I really like the community here. That I spent literally an entire day sitting in the lobby upstairs, talking to different students. I spoke to Langone students, 2-year students, first year, second year students. Just by talking to them, I see why they like the place. I see that it's a very tight-knit community. And Sebastian mentioned, like, the alumni network. Like, literally, if you really want to be in New York, you have access to so many resources. And additionally, as Sebastian mentioned, the number of resources you have outside of Stern, not only just within the Stern School. Like, there is NYU E-Leslie Lab. There's like entrepreneurial challenges that you can participate in. I am actually participating in a couple of challenges just because, while you're in school, you should be participating in those. And I think NYU really gives you that support to actually pursue your MBA school and also participate in these challenges as well.
That's great. So you guys are here now. We've arrived. What's the Stern community been like? How has your kind of adjustment coming back to school full time been like?
It was actually pretty good for me. Like, I got in February, and then I left my job in April. Then I traveled to Peru before I started business school. And then after I moved to New York, finding an apartment in New York was an exercise to remember throughout your life. But I think, like, since the school started, it has been fascinating. The Stern community, you can say that we did not have anyone coming before us as part of Tech MBA, but the entire Stern alumni network was available to us. I can tell you, like, I was interviewing for a company 2 days ago, and when I reached out to the Office of Career Development because I did not know anyone in that company, and they immediately connected me to a Stern alumni who's actually working in that company. So, and even in general, I feel like Sebastian can say, for this too, that second-year students, other Stern MBA students have been very, very curious and very helpful in this program. So, like, if we have to ask suggestions for which classes to pick, they have been very helpful. So you really see that IQ and EQ piece in the community while you're in this building.
That's great. How about you, Sebastian?
Yeah, I think in my mind it's almost in 2 parts. And the first part was when we arrived and started classes, over the summer in May, because we really were condensed into classes with just about the 30 other people who were in our program this year. And we were also on campus with the fashion and luxury program students. So some of our classes were combined, and we had 60 students in a room and really built this tight-knit community over the summer. There wasn't a lot of club activity going on, recruiting season wasn't in session, so we really had the summer to build that community around these 1-year programs.
That's true.
That all changed a lot in the fall, right? The campus got a lot busier. It was a lot harder to find a study space. It turns out undergraduate students exist, so it turned into a bit of a zoo here, but it really changed the dynamic of the community again. So I think at first I was a little bit, not skeptical, but just wanted to make sure that the 2-year students and the tech students would mingle just fine. But we register as 2-year students in the fall, and we're in classes with a lot of the 2-year students. And like Akanksha said, they have been nothing but helpful. Because they've been here for a year, they have a lot more experience in certain parts of the business school experience. And it felt like we were able to really latch onto a couple of them through clubs or just through our classwork and kind of get up to speed with the life of an MBA too, while we really compressed that down into a summer. So, our eyes were opened to more of the business school culture at that time. It is different than the summer, but it's also been really nice.
That's great. So you guys are here. I think, Sebastian, you had touched upon a unique part of the program, which is that it's fast, but that it's also immersive. And so selfishly, I'd like to share with everybody a little bit about kind of the experiential learning curriculum, and wanted to ask you what was your favorite part of the summer immersion when you first got here?
Yeah. Okay, I can go first. So I think like for me, one of the favorite part was the Friday immersion sessions, where in the morning we actually had workshops. We learned about data visualization and multiple workshops throughout the summer. But one of the favorite things was to go to companies in the afternoon. And one visit I clearly remember was at Goldman Sachs. So where we had like a VP high up at Goldman Sachs spending an entire afternoon with us, telling us all about how technology has transformed Goldman Sachs and the work they do. So just seeing that and learning about different industry that I never thought I'll learn about. So that has been quite fascinating. And not only Goldman Sachs, we actually got to visit and learn about multiple industry verticals. Like we visited Oscar Health, which is in health insurance, and then we visited Button. This is another app integration company. So a lot of different companies, T. Rowe Price, number of them. So it was quite fascinating to learn about all the verticals.
It was busy, right?
It was very busy. It was busy, but fun busy.
Yes, exactly. How about you, Sebastian?
Yeah, very busy, but a great opportunity to get off campus. So Monday through Thursday, you are busy with coursework over the summer, but Fridays really are the day you can go and visit different companies and learn a lot about them. Like Akanksha was saying, out of all of those opportunities, I felt like every Friday, my opinions of what I wanted to do after graduation changed, right?
Right.
I know I want to go into product management, but the size of the company, has been something I've questioned. Do I want to go work for a big company? Do I want to work for a startup? And this immersive experience on Fridays really gave us the opportunity to kind of learn about the culture at each of those companies, and allow yourself to kind of put yourself on the other side of the presentation, presenting to students, and think like, how would I fit in this company? Similarly, like the breadth of companies we visited was very expansive. It wasn't like every Friday was a repetitive, like, oh, now we have to go visit a company again. It was like, wow, that company was so different than the last Friday, and that's why everything I thought I knew about my career trajectory has changed, right? We visited Uber, we visited Goldman, like just polar opposites on paper, but a really great way to literally immerse yourself.
Yeah.
Great. So now you're in the fall in the Tech Solutions project course. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and kind of what has been your experience thus far?
Yeah, so far, so for those who don't know what Tech Solutions is, in fall we take a class, an experiential learning class, where we work with an actual client. And in that client this fall, I'm working with an external consulting company. In my team, we are 3 students, 2 Tech MBA students and 1 2-year student. And the experience so far has been amazing. My project is to actually analyze qualitative data sources, such as news articles, social media streams, using natural language processing. So it's quite fascinating to actually work on such a project between the intersection of tech and business. And needless to say, it's a unique opportunity to be in New York City, because our first client meeting was in their office in One World Trade Center. So that was very exciting to me when I had to go visit their entire team. It was very good. I don't think you can have that experience from anywhere else except New York City.
Yeah. I think for these types of project classes, some students and prospective students typically ask, like, how much do you actually engage with the client? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So actually, our client is very engaged. So we have a weekly, when you work, you have weekly meetings set up. We have our weekly meetings set up, and we are constantly in touch with them, constantly emailing. We also have a technical mentor for our project, who is another person who is a VP at another company. So we had a meeting with him. We walked through our entire architectural diagram of how we look to solve this problem. And so he gave us some feedback. Then we took that feedback to our client, the consulting company, and they improved upon the idea. So it's very collaborative. It's like a real work. At some point, we actually had to tell our client, initially they thought this will be our only project. So they thought this fall, we are only working on this. Then we had to tell them, no, actually, we are taking other classes too. We are in school. So
they get very excited.
Yes, definitely.
Sebastian, what's your experience been like?
One thing about the one-year program is you don't have time for an internship. So this Tech Solutions class has really been almost a substitute for that. So my team is working with a smaller company, more of a startup in the finance space. and they're working on integrating different data into front ends for traders. And that's about all I can say about it, because we do have to sign NDAs for these projects. Yeah. But similar to Akanksha, the communication is there, right? Yeah. I was emailing him this morning, the founder of the company, and we have a group text, to arrange meetings. And it's very casual, but there's this level of respect with our client. They know that we are MBA students at Stern, and we are trying to offer them as much value as we can in this quasi-internship perspective, but we're also trying to learn as much as we can about the industry. So I actually chose this project in the finance space, and I know very little about finance. And being at Stern, who has a great reputation for their finance background, I thought picking a project in this space and working with professors on campus to really meet the needs of the client would be a great way to immerse myself in the industry and learn more. And so far it has been, but also combining it with the tech piece.
Yeah.
That's a good point, by the way, that Sebastian mentioned, that we actually get to pick the project. And like him, I picked the project in which I had zero experience in. The 2-year student in our team, he is the finance wizard. Yeah. So, we're like, okay, just by being in the same team, we can learn so much. Yeah. So that's the collaborative piece that, that's one of the benefits of the program.
I like what you had said, Akanksha, about really pushing yourself through these types of projects and building new skill sets. Was there a specific skill set that either of you were trying to build as you went into these courses, and how has that been met so far?
Yeah, I think for this tech solutions course in particular, it was the finance aspect of it, and also getting some consulting experience, because prior to Stern, I only worked as an engineer. So just as part of the program, I am getting this consulting opportunity where I'm learning first about finance and also how to manage client relationships as well. So that's for this course. But there are other courses at Stern, such as the core classes. When you get into them, you learn those skills. Like before business school, I did not know what value proposition was. Learned that. People talk so much about Porter's 5 forces. Now I know that. So, a lot of things is just by being here. You hear people talk about them. So you learn and grasp so much. So overall, great learning experience in all the classes.
Great.
Yeah, I've really liked the opportunity to formalize some of these things. I kind of learned on the job over the past few years and do it in an academic environment. Mm-hmm. So my knowledge is, or was limited to what I learned at work through various technologies that might pop up on blog posts or whatnot. But really coming to Stern and being able to see how those might be implemented across bigger organizations, and how professors will, come together to build these use cases and literally write the case studies on how these technologies go forward. In terms of finding a specific skill, it's more like the how, how some of these things are taken through. I did study business in undergrad, so I felt like I had a bit more of the baseline, but really formalizing that in real-world scenarios. One more thing I will say is we did learn Python as part of our data science class over the summer. I think having a baseline of Python coming into the program would be very valuable. Some of us did spend a few weeks over the summer really getting caught up, but you learn how relevant it is in the tech industry. And I think if you want to be a successful either product manager or even just manager making decisions, being able to use data and go get that data yourself has been valuable. So I've really tried to grow those skills while I've been here.
Yeah, I think the beauty of the tech MBA is really the balance on both the business and the tech side of things. Would you guys say that that's been your reality as you've gone through each of the different courses?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. We have, the way the program is structured, you have a technical core classes, and then you have a business core classes that you have to take. So those technical core classes really help build your technical foundations. So, and also those business core classes really help you build your business foundations. So this is really a balance between the two. And, I have been really happy so far, with the program. Really looking forward to the next semester, actually.
Well, that brings me to my next point. So, so looking forward, in January, we're going to be packing our bags and going to the West Coast, to Seattle and San Francisco. What are you guys most looking forward to that second immersion?
No, I think it'll be great to actually see all the companies, all on or the West Coast, how they work, just to go visit them over 2 weeks period. I'm just excited to be with the entire Tech MBA class and visiting all the companies for 2 weeks.
The warmth. I think, New York in the winter is
true.
cold, so being able to go to the West Coast for 2 weeks is pretty cool. But I also am interested in learning more from some of these larger companies, right on site, who are based on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Right.
I think some people look at New York and think, well, it's not Silicon Valley, it's not Seattle. How is it this tech hub? And while it has a budding tech industry, the roots really are out west. So I'm glad we do get the opportunity to go there and meet with them.
Great. Any insider tips in terms of being a student at Stern in New York City? Anything that was surprising to you, or?
I'm actually just fascinated by the Stern network here. It has been fascinating. Like literally, you just need to know who you need to find, someone who you need to talk to, and you can find someone. So that's been like, literally, you can literally think of it, and then it's right there. So that has really amazed me for sure, for the good.
Okay.
Is that your tip?
Utilize your network. That's my tip.
Okay, mine is
Better tip.
15 extra minutes for the subway. Like, no matter how long you think it's going to take, add 15 minutes, and you'll get to class on time.
Okay.
Or you just stay closer to Stern, so that you don't have to take subway.
Okay. What has been your favorite memory thus far? I know do we dare say halfway through?
Wow.
Yeah, time flies.
What's been your favorite moment in the program thus far?
You want to go first this time, Sebastian?
Sure. I think my favorite moment has been when the 2 years came back onto campus and the energy really picked back up. I think we were trying to create kind of a name for ourselves over the summer, trying to figure out where we fit in the bigger Stern community, and as part of these immersions, as part of these opportunities the tech MBA students get that maybe the rest of the school doesn't know about, trying to figure out where we fit was big. So when the fall semester started and everyone was back on campus, really getting involved in the clubs and looking for leadership opportunities there was fun. But there was a specific event called Stern Speaks, and it is just a really humbling way to learn about some of our fellow classmates and maybe more of their non-traditional backgrounds and less of who they are on a resume or on paper and who they are as a person instead. And going to my first Stern Speaks event as part of that immersion into the 2-year community was, it made like the EQ light bulb light up, right? Like it was like, there it is. Yeah. That's why we're here. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I think one of the best moments I've had at Stern so far was a trip to Croatia with 8 Sternies from tech and fashion and luxury MBA students. It was during our August break, immediately after our summer semester got over. We went for 10 days to Spain and Croatia. It was a lot of fun, needless to say. And now most of us, 10 of us, are actually going to Mustique for New Year's.
That's great. I think you touched upon a point when you're in the summer. What was that community like before the 2 years got here? I know that the fashion and luxury MBA is here for Tita. What was summer at Stern like?
I thought it was exciting. You could literally find a space to sit. Like you can go to any room and you have a space to sit. That was good. And I think additionally, if you are just the tech class, you think one way. But when you have the fashion and luxury students along with you, they think differently. They have different products in mind. So I thought that was a great addition to the program. Like we took some of our classes together with them. So the questions they asked were kind of eye-opening for me as well. Okay, I need to think differently. What about this aspect? So I thought that was a great addition that added a lot to the summer. And then we did get to meet with our military MBA students as well. So that was also good. They were taking few classes. We didn't really have a class with them, but just being able to recognize them, getting to know them in a social setting was a very good experience. And now we at least recognize them in the middle of so many Stern MBA students. So
Great.
Yeah, I really liked the opportunity to build that community. I think with how quick of a program it is, you wonder if you will get to know your classmates as well, or how you build your network in a certain industry. But taking those few months to really become close friends makes the following fall semester so much easier, because there is always a familiar face in a classroom, or people from the summer to hang out with, and we still get together. I mean, it's a little more rare that all 30 of us are in the same place. And I think that'll be a great part of the January trip, just to have that feeling of summer and that, small class block feeling. all together again.
Great. So what would be your best piece of advice that you would give to someone that's looking to apply to the Tech MBA program at Stern?
I think you should showcase your personality, literally leverage the Pick 6 to showcase who you really are. I think that's the best piece of advice I can give, because Pick 6 is always fun to see and read. It's fun. It should be fun for you to make the Pick 6 essay, and I think it's very much a lot of fun for the admissions committee to read them.
Great.
So.
Yeah, well, you kind of took mine. I think the Pick 6, I mean, a lot of people ask about it, right, and really overthink it, but at the end of the day, you just need to be brutally honest with who you are and know where you came from and where you want to go. Because if you think of literally thousands of applications coming in and being read over, like, you don't want to just write what you think someone wants to hear. Right. You want to be able to showcase your personality, almost like your personal brand, to the admissions committee, and just be yourself.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're looking for more information, you can visit us at the NYU Stern Tech MBA website for more information about the program, as well as application procedures and deadlines. I just want to say thank you to Sebastian and Akanksha for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.